Okay, we are in Sunday and we need to see what we can get done today. I went to do a B&B that I was supposed to take care of today, and the people were still there. So I'm going to use this time to work in the garden. We need to thin out these radishes that were planted. So that they can get a decent size. So I'm pulling the ones that look smaller and scrawnier. And I'm going to leave about a half an inch in between each one of them. The smaller they are when you pull them, the better chance you have of not disrupting the root systems of the other plants. Matter of fact, I feel like I want to just cut a couple of these and not disrupt their roots on the ones that got a little bit too big. Isn't that beautiful? Tom got such great colors on the zinnias. And today, this time of day is not the best time to be stressing out your plants. But when you only have a limited time to do anything, you need to do what you can do. Gave some of these to the chickens last night and they didn't seem too impressed. I don't know if they're not all that fond of radishes. I know they're kind of spicy to me, so those both look so good. It's hard to decide sometimes. And I'll show you what was very hard for us yesterday after we get done with this other line. The sun is bright today, but it's not too bad. We're in the 80s. I heard that in, is it Tennessee today? They're in the 90s. Eek. We've had those. We already had our first 100-degree temps. This is where I think those pelleted seeds come in really handy. So you're not having to do so much thinning. Because you kind of have a little bit more control over how many seeds are going in the ground. We tried one of our carrots last night. You remember planting the carrots? How I did it with the tweezers one by one? It was a lot of work, but I really feel like it was worth it. Because for one, I didn't have to do this. Oh, I still have one more bundle to do, but we'll do that one later. I'm going to take you over by the compost and show you what we had to do last night. It was getting dusk, so I couldn't record it. But our Dorset apple was leaning, and she's just a baby. She's only, this is her second year. And she has so much fruit on her that she was leaning. And look at all of that. All of those apples that we had to take off. I mean, they'll be good nutrients for upcoming compost, but to have to thin your fruit out like that, it's just so hard. And then in this one, I was going to save seeds from my sweet peas, or from my snow peas, and there were hardly any peas left on here. So I just took those off the vine and put those in the compost. So we have a lot of compost that needs to break down. I'll show you what the other one looks like. Look at how nice our peaches are starting to get. I'm going to have to cover them pretty soon. The cardinal's been in here checking things out lately. And the hotter it gets, the more bugs we keep seeing. We found a caterpillar on our sunflowers last night. But here's an example on the Anna apple of, and this one's bigger. But on this guy, the Dorset, some of these had like 7 fruits on them. Like this one, you can see 1, 2, 3, there are 5, 6. There was 6 on this one. And I mean, look at her trunk. But she's still she's small. So that helped her a lot. She stood back up quite a bit, but she had way too much weight on her. So we went through and look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? There's one under here that's just perfect. Let's see them. They just look so good. I just pray that the whatever came in and took everything, if it was a chipmunk, squirrel, or whatever it was last year that took all of our apples, that they don't come back this year with thinning it out. See, and here's an example. We didn't get this one. See, there's 5 on this small branch. That's way too much weight for a small tree. So I'll have to thin that one out. So you find the best ones, you look at them, see if there's any blemishes. Like this one looks like it is deformed. So we'll pull it off. This one's smaller, pull that one off. This is the best looking one, and then there's that one. I've been keeping 1 to 2 on. I was snipping them because I actually totally tore off a couple branches trying to tear them. So we'll leave those 2 on. And then we noticed on the Anna that she had quite a few on hers too, but sometimes trees will thin themselves. But if they don't, you need to give them a little bit of help. So we pulled a few off of this one too. And then with our car, there was a bunch of babies on it, and it dropped a bunch of babies. So we're giving it some more fertilizer. And then over here on our sunflower, look at that. Let's see. Look at her. She's starting. This is our Titan. She's not getting as tall as what she could have gotten. Oh, look at that. You know what that is? That was a squash bug. Ugh. Gosh, you guys. The bugs. Just don't do well with them. Look at what that caterpillar did to the leaves. We looked all around on here last night and didn't see but one, but it looked like there was more than one that had done damage. And look at They're laying eggs. Got to get rid of all that. So you're constantly checking the undersides of the leaves for anything. See, look, there's some more. That's another bug right there. Or maybe it's not. No, it's not. And then I was seeing these brown spots. You see that? Right here. Like, those look like eggs. Anything that you see like that, squash it. Get rid of it. Look at that. Right there. They really like these sunflowers for, man. I put them out for beauty and these bugs just want to go to town. There's another one. I know it's hard to keep up on everything, especially when you're not able to be at home all the time. And there's days when I come out and I don't inspect, and that's when you get into trouble. You really need to walk around and check your stuff every day. See, there's some more eggs. We don't need all that trouble. Just don't need it. Tom's the one that found the caterpillar last night. It's just very time consuming. And when you have so much going on, you know, you can't see everything, but if you can keep an eye on it so it doesn't get out of control, that's the goal. And last night when I was doing this, I saw a white moth. Let me tell you, I was after that really quick. These sunflowers are so beautiful. And I put them on this back wall so that they could go high. They seem to be liking the soil. And look at this. I believe these are the dahlias that we planted. Got one there. We've got one over there. Exciting stuff going on in here. The dahlias seem to be doing very well in here, which I'm excited about. Oh. But it looks like something was nibbling on them too. These have very sturdy leaves. Look, oh, isn't that beautiful? All right. See, there's another one of the dahlias there and there. And then down there was another one. The lemon balm's doing good down at the other end. All right, let's go see what else has stuff going on here. I need to pull the lettuce and give it to the girls. It's going to seed. And look at this. Isn't this just gorgeous? These guys are coming along really, really well. We pulled one last night. They're not quite ready, but that's okay. We'll let them keep growing. They're doing good. Here's our straw flowers. We're going to have to pick those pretty soon. Our little pansies are just fighting really hard to stay alive in here. They're the puniest pansies I've ever seen. They were from some very old seed, so I'm excited that they even started. We have flowers on almost all of our pepper plants. And now back here, this is what I wanted to look at. We have to put up another lattice going this way here, because the sunflowers or the grapevines are going crazy. Look at what they're doing to my yellow bell. They are all up in my yellow bell. But I've noticed some leaf curl in some of the newer leaves and some holes, which means we might have another culprit in here. And to try to go through all these vines, it's just impossible. So I go where I see some damage and I try to follow that. Look at the babies. They're doing good. Now if there's damage on just a few leaves, I don't mind. You know, because caterpillars turn into beautiful butterflies. But if we have a bunch of leaves that are being damaged, I'm not okay with that. And right now, I really don't know what I'm going to do with this. This might end up staying the way it is for this season, because to try to untangle this, because you can see how it's wrapped around the vines. This is from me not being out here checking things every day and staying on top of everything. I look at the pomegranates. They're beautiful. Look at that. It's doing very well. Now this, okay. Now we are working on getting our soaker hoses out of the garden. So if you can see where all of this white is on these hoses, that's calcification, and it is just eating through these lines. We have such hard water out here that it's crazy. In our house we have reverse osmosis, and we have water filters and stuff like that, but you can't run all that through the garden. So when I was trying to take these off the tees and stuff, this is even what was happening there. They just snap right off. I couldn't even get it off the tee. So trying to get all of that out, and of course we'll take all the caps and stuff off and save all of that, but I would like to save some of my drip line. We'll see what I can do with that. In the meantime, we have lines running that I need to get to that are under these borage plants right here. As beautiful as they are, I'm going to have to take them out because they are painful to work around. They have all these tiny little hairs. Do you see that? And they're prickly. They're like what you would find on a cactus. And I'm sure it's a survival mechanism for the plant, but my skin doesn't like it, that's for sure. So I'm gonna have to cut these back. I'll leave the stems in place so that, or the roots in place, so that I'm not disturbing the microbial life underneath. But I'm gonna have to get these plants out so I can keep getting to these lines. So I'll come back after I get that done. Okay, so we had to pull all 3 borage plants. The one from this corner, the one from this corner, and the one that I had over in that corner over there, because we just couldn't get to the lines. And then I was trying to just cut the stems, and they were so big that I couldn't even get to them. Now the root system, surprisingly, for this big of a plant with this big of a stem, the root system isn't that big. This root system just totally broke off inside of there. But I can show you right here. That's not terribly big. I mean, those roots don't get really long, and they don't have a really long taproot. So I got to get this mess cleaned up, and then we'll move to the next step. I wanted to show you this beautiful flower. It smells divine. It is from our baby magnolia tree. Look at how tiny this stem is right here. This is going to be a huge tree at some point, but right now these petals just smell magnificent, and they're so beautiful. The next thing we're going to be working on today, after we're done with cleaning up that celery, is saving some poppy seeds. I had showed you the other day how they were starting to dry up. Well, within the last few days, they've dried up pretty well, and so I've already put them in my compost. But I wanted to show you what they look like. So as you can see, these are pretty brittle at this point. And what you're looking for is right here at the base of these pods. You can see all those little holes. You want those holes to open up. When this is green, you don't have all those holes. It's just a green pod and there's no holes there. As it dries out, you start getting all these little black speckles. And then after that, it dries out even more, and this just becomes very brittle, very dry. And all of these pods under the flower end up opening up. And then I collected a bunch of those, and I'm going to show you what we do with those. And then the stems have gone into the compost to help fertilize for next season.
When I gain those ruby slippers, my power will be the greatest in Oz. And now, my beauty, something with poison in it, I think. With poison in it, but attractive to the eye and soothing the smell. Poppies will put them to sleep. Sleep. Now they'll sleep.
I wanted to take a minute and pop in here to show you another way to save poppy seeds. I had told you to hit them on the table, or not on the table, but on a saucer, and get the seeds out that way. You can do it that way, and I was getting seeds out that way, but I decided if I was going through all the trouble of drying out those plants, which takes a while,
It's taking up the space in your garden for a while. I wanted to make it worth my while. So I wanted to see if I could get more seeds out of those pods. So I tried doing it a different way, and I ended up with a lot more seeds, as you can tell. I'm going to show you how I did this. Now there's some, little bits and pieces of the flour in here, the dried up flour. But I would rather have a little bit of those pieces in here than lose all those seeds, was my conclusion to all of that. Because it's not going to hurt to plant that with your seeds. It's not going to hurt anything at all. So I'm not professionally saving my seeds for anybody. It's just for my home use. So it doesn't really matter that you have some little bits and pieces in here. Because with the bigger seeds, you can blow and you can get most of that out. But when I was trying that with these are so tiny and so light that they were flying out of here too. And I don't want to lose my seeds. So I'm doing it this way. Okay, here's our seed pod. And I was telling you the other day to just take it and hit it, like this, and you would get seeds out, and you do. But I found that if I used my garden snippers and I carefully, so don't be in a rush to do this. You kind of work it around, you kind of twist it and get that top off. Then you can see all of those pockets in there where all of those seeds are being stored. Then I was taking it in between my two fingers and just rolling it. And then as this stuff comes out, I was just kind of working it out of there. But I was working it ever so gently to try to keep the pod in my hand so that it doesn't get in there. And I couldn't believe how much more of the seed I was actually getting. So that's just out of one tiny head. Whoops. And then keep all that over there. But look at how much more you get just out of that one head doing it that way. And there's not that much leftover stuff in there. So here's one more. Just kind of work that head off of there. Cut that head off lightly. Because if you do it too fast, you're going to crack the pod. And then just kind of run it, work it in between your fingers. Very softly, because if you do it really hard, it's going to crack your pod really quick. Your pod's going to crack anyway while you're rubbing it in between your fingers, trying to get those seeds out. But you just need to try to try to keep it together while you're rolling it. And there's that. So just right here, we got that just from those two. So I saved a lot more seed doing it that way than the other way that I was showing you. And that was what I learned today. Or yesterday, excuse me, when I was saving all these seeds. Okay. So that is what we learned about the poppy seeds. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope this was informative for you. If you enjoy what you're seeing on the channel, the best way for you to be able to help us to be able to keep creating content is to hit subscribe. We'd love to see you again, and enjoy your poppies.